welcome back to my channel. This is Tomi Daniels. Thank you so much for coming back. So today I'm just going to talk about hearing God, or more or less asking the question, does God speak today? We can read our Bibles, we can hear people talk about, like, hearing God. God said this, God said it, but does this really happen today? I'm going to, I guess, approach this by sharing my own experiences with hearing God. So I'm just going to give 3 instances. So I guess maybe the very first time I heard God, the most recent time, and also, hold on. So I'm going to talk about, God speaking to me for me, and as well as God speaking to me, for other people. I'm just going to give 3 examples, and I hope that this would hopefully encourage you to get on the journey of learning to hear God for yourself. It's great when people can talk to you and say, this is what God is saying for you right now. That's good. But it's also even better when you can hear God for yourself, or you can also confirm what he's saying, to yourself. And also, even going a step further, is actually also God using you to speak to other people and to speak to other people's situations. Okay, so the very first time that I heard God was, I believe this was in 2010. It must have been. This was when I just started my relationship with God. And I have a feeling that I might have shared this on YouTube before. But anyway, I'm just gonna get on with it. So I just got to know him. I was living with my sisters, one of my sisters at the time, and there was no one at home when I got home. So I decided to, as soon as I got home, I rang the doorbell. There was no one at home, so I was like, what do I do? And immediately at that point, this wasn't the first time actually that I heard God, but it's probably about the second time. But immediately I just felt like, I don't know if I would say like I heard a voice, or it was just like a thought in my mind, probably more of a thought. And I just said, to check the flower pot. Now, prior to this time, we'd never kept the keys in the flower pot, so it's not something that I would say just, is what we do. So that's why I was thinking about it. But then I thought, oh no, don't keep the keys there. And I decided not to check. Flower pot was just right there, by the way, but I decided not to. So I decided to walk all the way to my other sister's house, who at the time also lived on the same street. So I walked all the way to her house thinking she was home. I got there, lo and behold, she wasn't home. So I had to walk all the way back. I mean, luckily it was not a long distance. Walked all the way back, and then I decided to check the flower pot. And guess what I found? The keys, obviously. I was like, if I had just, been bold enough to just listen to listen to the Holy Spirit at the time. I probably didn't know it was the Holy Spirit at the time, but if I had just been bold enough to listen, I'd have saved myself the extra trip of walking down to and fro to my other sister's house. But yeah, that was about my second time of hearing God, and I was really excited about as well, although I felt bad that I didn't obey, or I didn't just check the first time around. So now this other time is, I think, is the first time. So the next instance, or the next story I'm going to give, is the first time I think God spoke to me about someone else. We're in church and we're doing this training about word of knowledge. If you don't know, word of knowledge is one of the fruits of the Spirit. And this is found in 1 Corinthians 12, I believe. And word of knowledge is basically God giving you a word about someone else. About either their past or their present. So it's something that they can identify with now. It's not a future event. It's something that has already happened or is happening. So this was my first time having a word of knowledge for someone else. And so we had a training in church. I think it was an evangelism training, or a word of knowledge training. And then we went out in groups. So we're in groups of 4. But before we went out, so we're told to whatever, just take 2 minutes, whatever comes to your mind, be that names of people, places, maybe things, maybe prayer points like sicknesses, whatever comes to your mind, just write it down on paper and then go out in groups of 4. So as we were going, we approached someone, because I think one of my sisters or one of the ladies in my group had maybe I don't know, yellow coat, and this person was wearing a yellow coat. I don't remember the exact details now, but so we approached her, and then as we were talking, one of the names I had on my list was Susan. And as we're talking, the Holy Spirit said to me, her name is Susan. And it was so clear. And this one was more a step. It was still, again, a thought in my mind, but it was not my thought. It was her name is Susan. It was, if I was saying it myself, I'd be like, oh, is her name Susan? I don't know. But anyway, it was her name is Susan. So I thought, I'm not sure, like, and I don't want to be wrong. So like, instead of saying, is your name Susan? I'm just going to ask, what's your name? And then I was like, what's your name? And she's like, Susan. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was so excited. Like, I was a lot more excited about it than she was. And luckily, because I had written Susan down as well, I showed her, I was like, oh, look, I had Susan on my list. But she didn't, I don't think she would have understood my excitement. And I was like, kind of beating myself up. I was like, what if I just said, like, is your name Susan? For her, like, she would obviously, like, be more interested in listening to what we have to say. But either ways, I was still glad that, the name Susan was there. But more than anything for me, like, it really kind of shifted things for me, because then I was like, actually, like, this is a great tool for evangelism, because people sometimes, they don't want to listen to when you start talking about God, whatever, they don't necessarily want to listen. But when you're able to tell them things about themselves, tell them things from the past, they are more likely to listen to you. And we see this in the Bible as well. Like, Jesus, when Jesus met the woman at the well and was telling her about like how many husbands she's had and how she's even living with a man now that isn't her husband. Obviously, if someone, and she was, the woman at the well was talking about how, she met a man that told her everything that she's ever done. There's no way that if someone came to you today telling you everything, like, that you've done, or maybe like pivotal moments in your life, there's no way you would not stop to think and say, okay, like, who are you? Bear in mind, yes, this can be the Spirit of God, but also the devil can also manipulate this gift. So not because just because someone is telling you that these are the things that happened to you in the past doesn't mean it's always God. But I guess that could be a different video. So that was like my second time, or that's my first time, God speaking to me about someone else. Now, most recently, my experience with God speaking to me about someone else was a couple of weeks ago. Maybe a little more than a couple. Probably should get listening to God more. But yeah, so I was talking to someone, and she was talking about like, hearing God. She was chatting with me about like hearing God, like how do I know what to like it's God speaking and stuff like that. And so I was like, just writing all these things, like what does it sound like? Is it a good thing? Does it align with the word of God and stuff like that? And then she was asking all of this because she was thinking about a career change, and what she had in mind was a completely different thing, and she saw herself doing something else. So she wanted to test and know that if what she saw was God. So that was really why she was asking, but she never told me what it was. I don't even know, like I just knew like what company she works in presently, so I don't really know what her job title is. So it wasn't like I really had any insight about her as well as it were. So after I spoke to her, I just decided, like that same night, I think as I was praying, I just said a word of prayer to her, and it was like for her to God, and just like, God, help X person or leader, in what to do. And there and then I think I just heard like something like, oh, like data scientist. So I was like, okay. And I was thinking, okay, should I ask, what are you thinking about doing, or just say, are you thinking about data science? So I was like, you know what, I'm going to be bold, and I'm just going to say, are you thinking about like, data science and stuff? And I just asked her. I didn't say God said, I just asked her. And then she didn't say anything. Then she started asking me like, why did I ask? Similarly, I saw the response of why did you ask? I was like, oh, it's obviously wrong, because if it wasn't wrong, she would have been excited. I'd be like, oh my God, how did you know? Anyway, I told her what I asked, and she was like, OMG, like, you have no idea. I've not told anyone about this. And I guess that was how you knew, but I just wanted to be sure. And she was so like, she was so excited. And she was like, yes, that's exactly what she was thinking about. Data science or data architect or something. But that was exactly what she was thinking about. She was so happy and excited. Now for me, for that, like, it also, like, it was good for me, because I was like, okay, God, so if you heard my prayer, my 2 seconds prayer for this person, just saying, and you spoke to me about it, definitely, like, you're hearing all my other prayer points as well, like, so for me, whilst I was delivering a message, I guess, or a confirmation to this person, it was doing me a lot of good as well, because I knew that God, because I got a assurance that indeed God is hearing me, like God hears the things I'm praying about and the things I'm asking for. So I've gone on this tangent and told you these 3 different stories just to make you understand and to make you to see that God does speak, and God does speak to us today, and God wants to speak to you. If you're a child of God, it says in John 10 that my sheep hear my voice. And basically, there's no child whose father wouldn't want to speak to him, and God, assures us in different parts of the Bible about how He wants to speak to us. So God can speak to you, about other people. You just need to, first of all, understand that truth. And I think sometimes as well, like, we feel like, maybe we've done something and we just think because of that God is not going to speak to us, or God doesn't want to even hear anything from our mouth. What he does, he's a loving father. Whilst he's not pleased with the wrong things that we do, he's pleased with us, as long as we've given our lives to Christ. And I just hope that this encourages you to, I guess, get on a journey of hearing God for yourself through his word, through inner witness, through audible, however means he wants to speak to you, but being open and understand that, yes, God can speak to me today. Yes, I do read the Bible, and the Bible is for us today and is applicable to everything that we're doing today, but also God can also give you specific words for what you're going through right now, and even things that are going on in the world right now. We may not have all the answers to everything every time, but we know that God is real. We know that God speaks today. And again, it just when you start having experiences and encounters like that, so God goes away from the realm of, is this God, is this not God? It now becomes a personal encounter and a personal experience that you're having, such that no one can take that away from you. No one can tell me, the encounters and the experiences I've had with God are not real, because I know beyond a shadow of doubt. It's not something that you can extract from my mind, or you can cause me to disbelieve. And even though, to be honest, even sometimes, you could have all this confirmation and God speaks and all of that, and there could come other times where you're actually doubted. So also, just make sure that you're writing as well as it speaks. If you do have any questions about anything I've spoken about today, I know this is kind of different from my usual videos, but I just kind of felt to put this out there today. If you have any questions, if you have any things that you want to talk about, even from this video, please feel free to contact me on Instagram. You can send me a DM on the comment section on YouTube. You can send me an email. Well, you don't have my email, but you can write a comment on YouTube, or just send me a message, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and till I come your way again next time, it's Tomi Daniels. Thank you and goodbye.